Hi guys, it's Stephanie. It's Tuesday, March 15th. So, it has been an incredible past 2 days. I've been riding my bike very steady. The past 2 days I rode 5 miles, totaling 10 miles. Altogether, I've ridden about 20 miles since I started riding my bike. And today I went out for a small ride, but it wasn't vigorous or trying to add up miles. I was feeling some tension a little while ago, and I'll explain to you why that is. Also, there's a discussion I want to have about, do transgender people get treated fairly when they're doing an interview for a job? But before I start, I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and also those new viewers who are just checking out my channel and maybe they find something that resonates with them. If you do, please consider to subscribe to my channel, but don't forget to hit that top bell so you can get future notifications of all my uploads. We'll be right back. Okay, so what I was saying was, do you feel that we transgender people get treated fairly during interviews for a job? Or if you don't think we get treated fairly, why do you feel that way? If you're asking me, do I feel that we get treated fairly? My answer is no. Okay. I think one of the most important thing is it depends what state this is. If it's a conservative state, or if you live in a conservative city, I don't think you're going to be treated fairly. Okay. You could live in a conservative state, but live in a liberal city, and you still may get treated fairly. But if you live in a conservative state, okay, and you live in a conservative city, or you live in a liberal state, but live in a conservative city where your job is, I don't think you'll get treated fairly. And I don't think that your interview will be looked at fair or a level playing field. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. In 1 week's time, I had 2 interviews, and they were by cisgender women. The first interview I had, her eyeballs was just darting across the room. Even though she made eye contact with me, I caught her several times gazing at my hands or other parts of my body, and she looked at me like I was an alien. I answered all her questions to the best of my ability and based on my experience. The job I had applied for and was interviewing for was just a customer service job in a high-end houseware products. Bed linens and bed covers, pots and pans, eating utensils, fragrances for the house, cookwares, everything that you'd expect to find in a home. Okay, I have similar experience because I worked at Bed Bath & Beyond for about 5 months before I moved to Florida. And I had no problem. I live in Florida, a conservative state. Sarasota and Bradenton is not a liberal city. They're conservative cities. Okay. The only reason why I have a job was because I worked at the Home Depot in Massachusetts, and I did a job transfer, and it was before I came out to my family as a trans person. So I got hired before I transitioned. I just had another interview on the phone today. Even though it was on the phone, I don't have a super feminine voice. She called me at the time that I told her I'd be available for the phone interview, which was 11:15. I was sitting in my car at my lunchtime and she called me, and she asked me twice if I was Stephanie Connolly. I said yes. She asked me everything that pertains to the job I'm applying for, which was a sales lead position job where you try to get more business. And it seemed like all the answers that I gave her, to me in my heart, didn't feel like they were right to her. And her voice was coming off like someone who just wanted to end the interview and move on to the next person. She asked me how many years that I have in the sales as a customer service employee. I told her I have over 20 years. She asked me if I can explain to her what my metrics goals were and what were they. I told her what they were. And several times she would ask me if I had any questions for her. So she made me feel like she was rushing the interviews to go off. She did the same thing in the end that the other person did in the interview. She told me that she's going to continue her interviewing of prospects and that she would get back to me and there's a chance I could do a second interview. It's already bad enough that telephone interviews are awkward. Okay? They're awkward. And I felt so uncomfortable with her because many trans people whose voice could be a little bit husky will sound even more huskier when they're talking on the phone because the electronics of the phone would make you sound even more masculine. Okay? I don't think I have a super masculine voice, but I don't think I have a super feminine voice either. Okay? I don't think I have a 100% feminine mannerisms, but I don't think I have male mannerisms either. So what spectrum do I fit in? with people. When I was doing the first face-to-face interview, this manager looked very uncomfortable in the way she sat, in the way she looked at me, and the way she made eye contact. Okay? She saw my profile on LinkedIn. I had even longer hair. I had makeup. Maybe she didn't think that I was a trans person. That photograph is a few years old. Maybe she was shocked to see that I am a trans woman and she never really met a trans woman. Okay? But she didn't feel, in my point of view, that she was comfortable. She looked like she wanted to end that interview quickly too. Because if you recall a couple of videos earlier, I said that I did go back to that store at the mall to just look at the products. And she was there. She didn't even come up to me and say, Stephanie, I decided not to go with you because I think we found a more qualified person. Because if that's what she would have said, that would have been a blatant lie. I have over 20 years customer service experience in sales. Okay? I smiled throughout the whole interview. And she didn't look at all comfortable. She never cracked a smile with me. Her questions were very direct, and some of the time that she made eye contact with me, she would quickly divert her eyes someplace else. And I could feel the vibes. It's been over a week since I interviewed, and she hasn't called yet. And the interview I had today on the phone is going to end up the same way. Even though it was a phone interview, I could tell by the questions and the vibes that I was getting across on that this was going to be a no-go. So I think that trans people do not get a fair shake when it comes to job interviews. I don't think that they do. Even the employees that worked at that store in the mall where they had the house goods, they didn't seem very friendly either. And it seemed like two of them were very, very friendly. They come up to me, they asked me if I wanted any help. I told them that I was there for an interview. One of them gave me an application. She was very friendly. But the other two women that worked there, they just kept staring from a distance. Okay? Maybe there's a certain type of person that manager wanted to hire. You know, maybe they try to hire people a lot like them. So, anyways, I had another interview today at a women's intimate clothing shop in the high-end plaza where I like to go. And I didn't feel comfortable going to that interview either, so I canceled it. Okay? I think the job that I want is not one that I got to go sell women's clothes or try to generate leads in a woman's intimate apparel. Because if I do have a job in that kind of setting, I would feel like, well, you know what? I work at Lowe's and I'm a customer service associate, and I wear jeans to work and comfortable shoes. And sometimes I wear a t-shirt like this to work. That means I got to come home, freshen up, and get really dressy to go work in a woman's intimate apparel clothes. I'm not one to put on a lot of makeup. I'm not super duper feminine, I don't think. So I called them up and I said that I wasn't interested, and I thanked her. However, immediately after I did that, I went back on ZipRecruiter and I kept punching out the job searches. And I got some hits. I have an interview lined up for tomorrow, and it's going to be at a restaurant. I'll be working in the kitchen, and they're going to pay me $16 an hour to be a cook part-time. And they tell me they're going to train me. They think that I can do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I want to make extra income and start setting money aside to buy my car. That's my goal. And then I'll keep that job until my car's paid off. And it'll allow me to keep sucking away extra money as a whole between that and my full-time job. But this conversation is about, do trans people, are they treated with fairness at interviews? In my opinion, there's some factors that involves my decision. Like I said, it's either what state you live in, what city do you live in, what kind of job it is. And I've developed a sense of myself that I pay close attention to body language, facial expression, and certain vibes that I get. Even in the past, even before last week and this week, I've had interviews where I didn't feel comfortable because my interviewer didn't feel comfortable. I can just pick up the vibes, and I just wanted to end the interview. But it's a shame that here we are in 2022, and things really hasn't changed for the better yet. I'm kind of saddened that even the politicians, mostly the conservative groups, they don't want to recognize us as the women or the men that we are. They refuse to acknowledge. And I must say that I feel so bad for the young trans teens coming up and coming out to their family. And I think it's going to be worse again, because if Trump gets in office once more, they're going to undo everything that was done so trans people can live a happier, better life. I think a lot of that's going to be reversed, because in those conservative states, it's like they're coming out with the guns blaring. All these states lining up to oppose any transgender rights that was done by liberals. I'm not 100% for liberals. I'm not 100% against conservatives. I think both sides have a lot of good and a lot of bad. And if you ask me, I think the entire government needs to be cleaned out, or clean out the swamps and start over again and start treating people like human beings. There are transgender people in our military defending our country, but instead they see us like sick people, like we have some kind of mental issue. I don't have a mental issue, okay? I served 12 years in the U.S. Army before I came out to my family and my friends and my employers. If I can serve before I came out, other people can serve after they come out. So anyways, This is what I wanted to talk about. I hope this world shapes up. There's way too many hatred and discrimination in our planet. Our planet is way too small. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Anyways, I hope you guys have a nice evening and hope to see you guys tomorrow. Good night.
I'm